Good evening, my name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for joining me on another edition of Technology Access Television. Well, it's a new year and new things are happening all over this city, and no place is shining brighter than, would you believe it, Englewood. Yes, the phenomenal, prosperous, historic community of Englewood is back and bigger and better than ever. You know, they've had so many wonderful things happen and come out of Englewood, but for a long time, people have got it a little twisted. They think it's stopped. They think nothing is going on. But if you haven't read the news, you're missing out, because of all the communities in Chicago, if you own a piece of property in Englewood, you have seen the value of that property escalate faster and larger than any other community in the city of Chicago. And my guests here today are going to talk about a long-term economic vision for that community called Englewood. And they are picking up where they are and creating opportunities not only for themselves and people that are there, but for others to come in and talk about business development, job creation, wealth creation, and stabilizing and turning around one of the most legendary and legacy communities that we have in the city of Chicago. My guests today are from the Englewood Community Development Corporation, a corporation that they put together. These young men are doing some exciting things, and I want you to meet them right now. Hey, Glenn Fulton.
Thank you.
And your title is?
I am the Executive Director for the Greater Englewood Community Development Corporation.
Okay, the Executive Director, and your partner in opportunity is Jim Harvin. And Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good, and I'm glad you have us. Thank you very much.
All right, and your role at the organization?
I am the Program Director at the Greater Englewood Community Development Corporation, and I help put together programming for small businesses.
All right. Well, we were laughing when I was at the office the other day, your beautiful office in the U.S. Bank building right there on 63rd and Halstead. And we were talking about, I was in City Hall and I was talking to a friend of ours, and she was saying, look, you know, you need to meet these guys. You need to go out and see what they were talking about. And I said, hey, I don't have any problem at all. I'd be happy to come out there. And even since the time, and that's not even been 6 months, you guys are growing like gangbusters. Tell me about how you come to be involved and create this entity called the Greater Englewood CDC.
Well, we have what we call a very aggressive agenda, and that's good because my background has been one of a corporate background. So I wasn't really used to the nonprofit world per se. I was used to having a plan and then executing the plan. So what we did was we kind of sat down and kind of looked at what we had in front of us as far as our objective was concerned. And our objective was an economic development strategy, coming up with one for Englewood. As you know, Englewood historically has been the jewel of the city of Chicago, second behind downtown Chicago.
That's right.
So at one time, Englewood was the second largest shopping district outside of downtown.
And did you have, what is your personal connection to Englewood?
Well, born and raised. My father bought his house there in 1958. My father bought a home that I consider as a legacy home.
All right.
Beautiful Victorian. His thought was, him coming from the South, moving to Chicago, was that we pass something on to our children.
That's right.
That was something that he inbred into us on a daily basis, regular basis. Take care of your property, and the property will take care of you.
All right.
So, unfortunately, my father passed 5 years ago. I was in California with Cisco Systems.
And you were out in Silicon Valley.
I was there working at Cisco in San Jose.
All right.
Handling their procurement for call centers globally. My family needed me to come home. I asked Cisco if they could transfer me. They did.
All right.
And I was able to work from Chicago and then maintain the home and kind of get involved in my community. And that kind of gets back to the story of how we got involved with this process. There was an organization, Greater Englewood Community Development Corporation. They came about in 2011.
All right.
They pretty much had some great ideas. They had a great plan about economic development, small business development, but they were meeting, they had day jobs. And they couldn't really execute the plan.
All right.
So it's great when you have a plan, but when you can't execute the plan, you have a problem.
Yes.
So about a year and a half ago, Cisco was offering some buyout plans or retirement plans for guys that reach a certain age like myself.
Okay.
And I took advantage of that.
All right.
And it allowed me to focus in on the Greater Englewood CDC. They asked me to become the president. I took on the role as the president and the executive director. So I was handling two roles at the same time. And so Jim and I walked into a shop based upon a grant that we received from Chase, and we got a place to rent because we had to have a domicile in order for us to be legitimate.
All right.
And then after we became legitimate, we got a little storefront office. We called it our little olive oil shop because basically that's what it was.
And was that's the facility on Halstead
That's
there
the one,
that you had?
6957.
The OBEZ radio station.
Yes,
That's
right.
6957 South Halstead. We went in there, we did some major repairs. We started putting our name out there as far as what we wanted to do, making some meetings and associations with some organizations, and we put together a plan.
Well, you certainly did, and put together a plan. That's
Yeah.
an understatement.
Yeah.
Every time I look up, you're pulling a plan out of your pocket
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
and you got a lot of vision. Now, how did all of these various ideas come together? Were there working groups, and did you have some advisors or other
Yeah.
people? Because, again, a lot of people have passed judgment on Englewood and just say, oh, well, there's nothing happening.
Right.
And, we're not interested. But you guys have a real solid concept that a lot of people contribute to the plans you have.
I think that a lot of people, from an indirect and direct standpoint, contributed to this. You think about some of the things that's going on from a development standpoint. Whole Foods was what I consider a cause and effect.
Okay.
The cause was that we needed to have some type of a grocery store to help accommodate people that lived in the area because it was considered as a food desert. The effect is that we also need to have some kind of an economic development around it. So we started thinking about, well, we've got the Whole Foods coming. How can we tie that into our economic development strategy? So we came up with a strategy for sustainability.
Okay.
Sustainability meaning that we come up with a commercial kitchen concept. That commercial kitchen concept is a partnership agreement that we have with Blue 1647, which is a workforce development technology center that also has a business accelerator to it. So we put together a plan for that, and that plan is about to come to fruition real shortly. I'm not going to say that it's done now, but it's very close to being done.
Well, the Whole Foods is going to open up when, in 2016?
Spring of 2016.
And Jim, I had the good fortune to refer some people into that effort. And then you started grooming companies that have the potential of saying, look, if a Whole Food is coming, why not have some of our companies have their products on those shelves?
Absolutely.
So how did you put that? What did
And
you call that
Whole
program?
Foods, to their credit, was very interested in reaching into the community and helping to groom some of those businesses. We decided to collaborate together, and what we did is put together 3 workshops starting in October of last year.
October 23rd.
And we did one in October and November, and we just did our past one in January. We averaged about 80 businesses at each workshop, and the last one almost over 140.
Yeah.
So we coached the businesses in terms of making sure they had the SKU numbers, make sure they had websites, and to our surprise, Whole Foods actually reached, and there's at least 15 businesses right now that they want to send and put into their stores today.
Now, a lot of people think this is, something's funny going on here because you take a high-end marketer like Whole Foods, which somebody made the comment at one of the meetings, they have a nickname Whole Paycheck.
Sure.
Because of their price points. But obviously, if they're going to come into the Englewood community to bring the natural and organic and fresh products, they also have to respect the opportunities that this creates. And so what you're doing is saying, hey, we could be some of those organic and locally originated products. And you've been able to put together a great entree of companies that say, hey, look, we're concerned about health, we're concerned about diet, we're concerned about nutrition. Our community is very, very adept in these areas. We want to be a part of this, not just from a consumer point of view, but from a supplier point of view.
Absolutely, and it ties into our commercial kitchen. These businesses were operating anyway.
Okay.
All they needed was a little help. And what the Greater Englewood CDC does is offer that help. It offers that technical assistance. It offers the relationships. We got an opportunity to have them meet with Whole Foods category buyers. And category buyers decided that, yes, these businesses are ready to go prime time. So we're very proud about that.
Now, some people might think when they hear guys doing what you're doing, that you work for the city, or this is some kind of way you've been dispatched from downtown to come out and be involved with this. But this is really a grassroots-based effort, and you're the ones putting these ideas together. It's not the other way around.
No.
You're telling the city what you want to see happen.
Well, it's not only the city, it is also Whole Foods per se.
A corporation.
Yeah, let's look at the backstory on this. Whole Foods had a meeting with the community leaders per se, and they said, what is it that you guys want as far as your vision is concerned for this community? And having grown up there and knowing what it was and how it had come down and where I wanted to go, I told him there's two things I wanted. And I was speaking directly to Walter Robb, the CEO of Whole Foods.
Okay.
I said, I have two visions. One is that small businesses are included in this process for development around the Whole Foods. So in other words, how can you help small businesses grow? Is it a small restaurant? Is it a supplier to your...
And had they ever done anything like this in any other market?
No.
It's a great question.
They had not. and I think the second part really makes it relevant, and that is we want to make sure that diverse suppliers are on your shelves. Thus, we created the Small Business Workshop Series, which they were very committed to. And again, you said these were ideas, but these were ideas that came from our business background. I was the director of supplier diversity for Albertsons, which was Jewel Foods.
Okay.
So I knew pretty
right.
much that there was a way to do this. So all I've done, along with Jim, you think about his background in construction, and development, all we've done is taken the abilities that we've had and kind of mold that into plans and futuristic concepts and ideas for Englewood, and what I call a renaissance. As you know, in the past, the conversation has always been one of negativity. And as you and I were talking the other day, we're trying to change the conversation.
And the assets of Englewood are unbelievable.
Correct.
When you look at, of all the city colleges, Kennedy King is the only city college that does what we do right here. A television station, radio station, printing, graphic design,
Culinary,
computer technology.
Yeah.
These are assets that are underappreciated, but they weren't always.
No.
Because I can think one of the great and legendary college presidents was Harold Pates, who used to be president of Kennedy King back in the day. And if we weren't up at Kennedy King for a basketball game or Muntu dancers or something else going on, it was always something going on. So these campuses used to be vibrant.
Absolutely.
And used to be magnets for the community. And they can be magnets once again when people feel there's a chance to participate. But let's talk a little more about how the CDC operates. How does the CDC, as a instigator for development, how does it operate? Do you look at the land parcels that you have in the community and begin to vision, hey, maybe we could do this over here, or maybe that could be done over here, and then you start bringing different resources together, public and private, that could get the work done?
Well, again, I'm going to use my business background to kind of answer that question, and I would answer that the key to good business is being a good middleman.
Okay.
And so we are a middleman between the city of Chicago, which would include the alderman, the mayor's office, it would be the community, it would be landowners, it would be developers, it would be companies that want to come into the community. So what we do is we try to bring all of these different components into play and say, how do you want to be a part of this particular initiative? So an example is again, we talked about Whole Foods, we talked about the commercial kitchen. We had to bring in the people that own the property about the commercial kitchen. We had to bring the city in to get their buy-in for this. We had to bring the community in to make sure they got a buy-in on this. So for us, it's a matter of involving a lot of different people so that we can make the plan work.
But what I like about it is that you guys took the bull by the horns, did not wait for somebody to give you permission. You said, we know how to do this.
Correct.
And we're going to do it. So you start making calls. And Jim, when you started reaching out to partnerships and alliances, like you mentioned, Blue 1647. We both know and respect Emil Camry, and he's done some great work. And he too is a person who has not been on the scene in this community development a long time. Yet, how did you come about saying, hey, let's find out who that guy is, and could he come and bring what he's doing over to where we are?
Sure. My wife called me one day and made a suggestion that she and a good friend of ours, Damon Drummer, went out to 1647. And she called me and says, Jim, you got to see this and you need to meet this guy. And I gave him a call and I said, you know what, we're thinking about doing some of the same things you're doing out here in Englewood. He said, well, so am I.
Oh, really?
So he was there almost, I think, the next day he was in the office. And before he left the office, he said, you know what, we should collaborate.
Right.
We should collaborate and put something together in here in Englewood.
Well, this is a story that, Chicago, one of the challenges historically in Chicago is the rigidity of the neighborhoods. People are very territorial,
Right.
They're very parochial, and we haven't had that kind of open source collaboration and networking. And so you guys have really been a magnet for drawing a lot of people like myself or email or people from all over who want to be involved with a rebirth, a regeneration, or some creativity. But because of that closed-mindedness or closed shop or, the old Chicago vernacular, who sent you, it never gets off the ground.
Sure.
But it's so refreshing to have an open door activity. And again, Glenn, I think business people respect and appreciate that.
Correct.
And so you've created some relationships like with U.S. Bank.
Right.
Talk about how when you brought a business approach to the conversation, how did they respond when you sat down and talked to them about what you wanted to do?
It was different for them, again, because we were talking from a sustainability model. What people go to U.S. Bank for now is more or less how can you, give us funds towards our initiative. I'll put it towards like that very simply. And how can we get that on a regular basis? And my thought has always been, how do you become a sustainable model? And I presented
And break
to
that
them,
down a little bit so
Yeah.
that we can help folks understand.
Yeah.
Because sustainability is a buzzword.
Exactly.
A lot of people say that, but in a business context, what do you mean when you say sustainability?
That means being able to support your initiatives without having outside sources to contribute towards that. And I believe that, yes, all organizations should have those outside resources, but you need to also be able to prove that you can sustain your initiatives. If they are sustainable, that means that they're good initiatives. And that's what business people look at. That's what a U.S. Bank will look at. That's what a Chase will look at. That's what a Citibank will look at. All of these different outlets will look at that because they're saying, yeah, this is something that we can invest in because there is a return on investment. There could be jobs that comes out of this. There could be economic development that comes out of this. So all of these things, they're more what I would call concrete ideas, things that we can see. They're not something that's more of a vision or an idea.
And the business world respects that. When you have a sustainable model, you want to help sustain that. You want to grow that. You want to expand it. Even the small businesses that come to our office, they have to have an idea that's sustainable. We have people that come in our office sometimes with great ideas, but can it generate revenue? Can it be sustainable?
Right.
The only measure of a success for a business is, can it make money? Can it be sustainable?
Now, we know that our communities represent big buying power. I don't care whether it is in any industry whatsoever, we're spending large amounts of money on transportation and vehicles. We're spending a lot of money on food and health. We're spending a lot of money on technology.
Sure.
General
Yet,
merchandise, all of that.
we've been mostly on the consumption end and not the producing end. So now we have to start thinking, like from your experience, about that whole ecosystem. How can we be a part of that whole supply chain? So now you're going back to your roots at Cisco,
Right.
and you're bringing some of those things and ideas that you had at Cisco to bear on economic opportunity in Englewood.
Correct.
Now talk about that. How did you bring that concept together?
During the time I was at Cisco, I was a part of the Greater Englewood CDC.
Okay.
As a board member, and they were asking for ideas, and one of the ideas, which actually came from the alderman, was that he wanted to do some type of a call center. Well, everyone wants to do a call center, but it's a lot of work that's involved in actually bringing something like that to fruition. But I got to talking to him about that, and I put together a plan for a call center to be built over on 67th and Wentworth, one that is about a 50,000 square foot footprint right now that could generate anywhere from 750 to 1,000 jobs.
Now that's actually the old site of where the original Kennedy King used to be.
Exactly
right.
Exactly.
And so that area, you got those two, what is that?
18 acres.
18 acres of
Right.
property.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Sitting there, and all the infrastructure is there. All the telephony that we need to make this thing happen from a call center standpoint is there.
So the fiber optic infrastructure, the electrical power
Yes,
grid,
yes.
sewer, water,
All of
roads,
that.
all that is just there ready to go.
All we have to do is set up the point of presence so that all those calls can come in there. But the technology piece, getting back to your question, is all of that is based upon the history or the background of working in the technology field.
Right.
Cisco historically has used call centers to execute all of their operations. We had about 70,000 employees. 45,000 of those employees were based upon call center workers.
Wow.
So call centers are integral from a communication standpoint, customer service standpoint, and technology standpoint because of the equipment that you're using.
Well, you know, Americans have been a little frustrated in regards to, because we all know the experience of, you know, you call your bank or you call your technology service provider and you get somebody and you wonder, are they reading English out of a dictionary or really what's going on? All of these things have been offshore, but you're saying that 1,000 jobs could not only come back to the United States, but could actually land in Englewood at a state-of-the-art call center, could actually provide front-level customer service, be it a Cisco or any other Fortune 500 business or any other business for that matter.
Yes. I believe that Englewood has the infrastructure for that. As far as people being able to get to their call center is conveniently located. We talked about all the fiber optics already being in place. The infrastructure is already there. We do have a third-party operator that we're negotiating with right now in order to bring his client base here. So we believe that it can happen here, and then what it does is you know, we talk about jobs in Englewood.
Yes.
And how that
in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Period.
But you know, you think about Englewood, the unemployment rate is very high. It's listed as 26.7%, but we know it's much higher than that because after 6 months you fall off the register. So in Englewood we have guys between 18 and 24 years old that have the highest number as far as unemployment is concerned.
That's right.
So we want to target that base and we want to bring those jobs into our facility. Now, you only have to have a high school degree in order to work in the call center arena. You have to have some technical skills, which are some technical skills that we're willing to teach and learn to those people that are interested, but it creates an opportunity.
So now this is something that is about maybe a year away or a year and a half out before we could see something like this. But Jim, you're working on a incubator and accelerator right now in the U.S. Bank building that you're in that's actually geared towards entrepreneurs. And a little bit of time we have left, could you give us some insight on some of the initial focus of this accelerator and incubator you're putting together?
We've got about 30 businesses that's going to come into our office on the 4th floor of the U.S. Bank building this coming Thursday. And we're going to do a charrette. And it basically means we're going to have them chime in terms of what they would like to see this accelerator provide in terms of technical services, programming, and technical assistance. We're going to light it up. We're going to make sure that there's Wi-Fi out there. We're going to make sure that they have printing capabilities, make sure they have phone access. We're even going to put a reception out front for them so they can, you know, have a sense of a location that they can say, this is where my business is located. And what's it intended to do is help accelerate their business. Keep those costs down as opposed to getting a storefront. There should be a shared cost with those businesses, and now it's more affordable. And we're very excited about that. We're about maybe 60 days away from going ahead and launching that.
Open the doors.
And then you guys, these are just the tip of the iceberg of the things that you're doing. So for people that are watching this show and maybe have young people that are interested in entrepreneurship or young people that are interested in technology, how can they contact you and how can they get involved with some of these types of programs?
Well, they certainly can go to our website, www.greaterenglewoodcdc.org. But they can also email me at jharbin@greaterenglewoodcdc.org.
All right.
And they can call me. I'm always accessible at 773-908-8971. As you know, our doors are open. And we're looking for people who want to start a business, who want to expand their business, who are looking for technical assistance. We're looking for those individuals.
Well, no organization in the entire city has come so strong on the scene with some powerful ideas, from a 1,000-seat call center or to a high-tech business accelerator, which isn't just about technology, because you're going to service industries and food and retailing and
exactly right.
Small manufacturing. So the doors of the church are open for people that want to create some jobs and be a part of one of the great turnaround stories in this city.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Well,
and we're very excited about it.
I'm very excited about it, and I'm really happy that you guys are again, putting the naysayers out of your vision.
Right.
And you're too busy working to be concerned about what people say can't be done.
Right.
You're getting it done right in Englewood, and this is a testament to what this show has been about for the last 15 years. You know, technology access means putting technologies in people's hands so they can practically go out and implement it. And what you see right here are two guys that are getting the work done every day. I want to thank my guest, Glenn Fulton, the President and Executive Director of the Greater Englewood CDC, and Jim Harbin, the man that keeps the doors open and turns the lights off and will be there when you come in. He'll be the first person you see and the last person to leave. Hey, if you're looking to start a business and get it going in this city, you'll find no better opportunity for supporting your efforts than the Greater Englewood CDC. You can call me if you want to get more information, because more than likely, you'll find me there. I'm not going to miss this party, not by a long shot.
Yeah.
My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for watching this edition of Technology Access Television.
Very good.